What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. This video is coming to you via request from a subscriber of mine called My Top 10 Favorite Movies. It's a pretty hard list to do. It's not going to be in any particular order. It's not going to be from best to worst or whatever year they came out with. It's just going to be random, just ones that I've pulled out here and there, sprinkled around throughout this video. Though I do plan on one day doing a most anticipated of whatever year or my most favorite in whatever action or horror genre, top best, top worst, you name it, in time. But to the one who requested this video, this is for you. Thank you so much for requesting this, and I hope everybody else enjoys. And if you have not yet, please like, subscribe, comment, and share this video, and make sure to click that bell icon so you can see this ugly mug every day. So in the mortal words of the Black Eyed Peas, let's get it started in here. Or let's get retarded in here. Okay, moving on. My number one, which again, it's not in any particular order. It's just random ones. It's not going to be best or worst. But my first one that I had to mention was Ambulance, directed by Michael Bay. I'm someone that really loves Michael Bay's style. Now, I know he's somewhat of a joke in Hollywood, and I get it. But I'm somebody that really loves his style of filmmaking, and I don't care. I'm going to admit it. I'm going to shout it to the world. But Ambulance deals with these two brothers that plan a bank heist that goes horribly wrong, which forces them to make a quick getaway in an ambulance with two hostages. It's pretty cut and dry, and it's something that you wouldn't really think that Michael Bay would have done. It was really great. Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II was really good in it. The action sequences was phenomenal, and I love the way this movie wrapped up. It just brought tears to my eyes, especially the first time I watched this in theaters last year. To me, you just can't go wrong with Michael Bay. And it just, again, the way his filmmaking style of his action sequences and just the slow motion captures and everything, it just sends me over the top. And it just really makes me feel like really good about what he does. And I'm telling you, the day that he mentions his retirement or that he's no longer among us would be a very sad day for me. That's for sure. But Ambulance just definitely had to make it on this list because it was one of my most favorite movies of 2022. That's for sure. I love his style of action. I love his brand of action and his use of drone shots. Just the all-out commitment he puts in it. This film definitely deserved to be on this list. And I don't care who knows it. Coming in at number 2 is Deadpool. A movie I'm sure that caught us all off guard. The one movie I think really put Ryan Reynolds on the map. As the story focuses on a guy named Wade Wilson, this mercenary who gets diagnosed with cancer, and he goes to this clinic run by this corrupt organization who pretty much betrays him, turns him into this figured figure, and gives him superpowers, but they pretty much portray him, which was the dumbest thing ever because nothing could really kill this guy. And he goes out searching for revenge. And to me, Ryan Reynolds, he really played this part off really well. And it was a really great redemption, the way that they handled this character different from X-Men Origins Wolverine. And everybody hated that portrayal of that character, which was done by the same actor, which was also done by Ryan Reynolds. But the way in 2016's Deadpool, the way that they handled that one was awesome. And this was the first time that I ever broke my one viewing of a movie theater rule. This was the first one that I've ever gone to that I watched multiple times. Before this one, I have one cardinal rule. Only watch a movie once in theaters and watch the hell out of it on DVD later, which I still do. But thanks to this movie, I now watch some movies like several times. So thank you, Deadpool. But Ryan Reynolds, he was really good. He showed that smart-ass wittiness about him that we all know and love today, and like I said, it's the one movie that I think put Ryan Reynolds on the map. This is what kicked it off for Ryan Reynolds, in my perspective anyway. I know he's one of those that's been acting since like the very early 2000s, maybe like the last part of the 90s. Because I know he was in a lot of stuff in the early 2000s, but even though it took him this long, I think this is the one that really made him noticeable. Yeah, he was awesome as Deadpool. He was smart ass, he was quick, and just all out jokes and the comical relief in this. Not to mention the action itself. It's the one Marvel comic movie that wasn't really related to the MCU that came out at the time that was really successful. And again, like I said before, I think it caught everybody by surprise. I really appreciated this one and I couldn't really skip this one being on this list. On to the next one, number 3, which is The Matrix, the first one. Now, I'm somebody that grew up with this franchise. I have all 4 of them, even the last one. This is one of the most sci-fi driven films ever made, in my perspective. It's basically a movie about the machines who pretty much took over the world, and humans are in a virtual reality. And the one, played by Keanu Reeves, whose star talent really shined in this, he basically plays the savior of all humanity from this virtual reality. Another one that put him on my radar. I know a lot of people says Bill and Ted for them, but The Matrix was for me that put Keanu Reeves on the map for me. But that's basically what this movie is about, and it's, like I said, it's the most sci-fi action-driven science fiction film ever to date. I know there's plenty others out there like that, but this is the one that really got me into action. This one came out in 1999, and it was the one that just really fascinated me, especially when the sequels came out, which now I've got like different perspective on those if I ever do a film series review of these, which I plan to do one day. But The Matrix is just awesome. And Hugo Weaving as the main villain, as Agent Smith, really impressed me. You also got Carrie-Anne Moss and Lawrence Fishburne. It was a great casting choice, great action, and it's the one that really showcased bullet time because of all the action sequences where he flies up in the air and shoots people at the same time. Bullet time. Yeah. So yeah, this franchise, especially this particular one, is just the one that really puts it on the map for me and really deserved to be on this list. Coming in at number 4, which I know a lot of people didn't really like this one that much, Black Adam, which stars Dwayne Johnson as the main character. Now, there are some flaws with this, I do admit, but it's fun. It's fun. It's basically about this guy who gets awoken after several thousand years from a tomb, and he decides to dispense his own brand of justice. This superhuman being that was pretty much cursed way back in like ancient times, and he tries to, right all the wrong that has happened, especially for him. And the way Dwayne Johnson plays this character, I actually liked. This is the first time he actually plays a comic book character. And everybody's saying that, well, he's just Dwayne Johnson. He's the same like he always does. Well, that's his brand. That's just his style. That's the reason why we go to his movies anyway. He's got that charm about him. And the way he played this character off in Black Adam was actually pretty good. And I know there's not much to the story. The villain was sort of a question mark. But I've always enjoyed just pure action, the way this film was presented. And I know I said in my review, this is one I have reviewed, where it felt like that we've seen this so many times, especially in the DC verse. But still, I didn't really mind it. I loved the way the action sequences played out and how Pierce Brosnan, played Dr. Fate in Justice Society of America, which is the first time we actually saw this on the big screen. I like the way that movie played out, and this definitely deserved to be on the list, despite its faults. Now, on to the next one, and number 5 is Avatar: The Way of Water. Now, I'm somebody that at first, especially when the first one came out in 2009, was not too keen on him. I didn't really like him at first, but that part of me is dead. It's buried 6 feet deep, and I really do appreciate these movies. What James Cameron brought, especially to the visuals of this particular one, of Avatar: The Way of Water, of its sequel, In this James Cameron directed sequel, the Sully family and the Navi race are forced out of their home, which drives them to work with the Natari, these water people, in order to survive. I really love the way the movie looks. I love the way the characters looks, just the all-out atmosphere and just all-around tone of everything. He really brought a really good sense of just visuals and just the style of like every shot, especially with the underwater sequences, which is all IMAX, by the way. I mean, how can you not have sequences like that not being in IMAX? Just everything changed once my friend let me borrow his copy of the first one in preparation for The Way of Water, and ever since then, I've just been mesmerized. Especially with the sequel, that really deserved to be on this list. The first one was great. The second one, The Way of Water, spectacular. It hit all the right notes for me in terms of the great spectacle of things of what this movie brought. The look of it, the mesmerizing feel of it, the visuals, the look of it. It's just so mesmerizing to the point where to this day I still kick myself for not liking it at first. But you know, hey, people change. And that's definitely what this film has done for me, especially the first one, leading on to The Way of Water. It's what makes James Cameron pretty much a god in Hollywood, because he basically prints money. So if this guy directs a movie, most likely he's always going to be successful. So yeah. In short, this guy really does know how to make movies, and he did it right with Avatar, especially its sequel. Number 6, and I couldn't deny this, Violent Night, starring David Harbour. And who doesn't want to see a movie about a rich family being held hostage by these mercenaries and Santa Claus going John McClane on their ass? Just that alone, it just sold me right then and there, right when this movie was announced. It's basically marketed as Die Hard meets Home Alone. But I interpret it more as Die Hard meets Home Alone meets Bad Santa. This is officially my favorite Christmas movie of 2022. The way David Harbour carried this character, and I love that little spin, that little few second history about who this guy was before he became Santa. That was a pretty interesting twist. The way John Leguizamo carried on as the antagonist, the villain of this film, and he was a force to be reckoned with, pretty much. He was like the definite evil version of the Grinch, of Scrooge, which is what his codename was in this movie, Scrooge. And plus the meta references to Home Alone, especially to Home Alone, which gave the movie such a comic relief that you just couldn't help but love it. And it just added that extra spice of eggnog in your cup for this movie. And just the all-out way that Santa would just become a Bruce Willis, John McClane in this. And I know I'm saying that ad nauseum, but it's true. You just couldn't go wrong with this one. And it was definitely one of my most favorite movies of 2022. Now, coming in at number 7 is Scream. This one was a hard choice to write down, because I love all 5 of these. This is the franchise that got me started in horror. I was like 11 years old at the time. But it's basically about this guy who wears a Grim Reaper mask and kills in the name of movies. Pretty much. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry there. But I remember many times, and I said this ad nauseum too, I remember many times, sneaking behind my parents' back and just watching this on TV and just being all out astonished by what I was seeing. Thanks to this, and I know this sounds like an over-exaggeration, a little over the top, but I can't deny it. If it wasn't for this, I wouldn't be into horror movies nowadays. I wouldn't be into horror now. The writing by Kevin Williamson with all the meta references was really, really smart within itself. This is the one that pretty much redefined horror. The one that got director Wes Craven on my radar. Is the one that really made me want to watch his other films. He's directed films for a long time, since 1974, I believe, or 73. Very gifted, talented filmmaker, which is why it was such a hard day for me whenever I found out of his passing from brain cancer back in 2015. But again, this is the one that redefined the horror genre, and it definitely deserved to be on this list. No doubt. Coming in at number 8, which is A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984, another Wes Craven directed masterpiece. It's all about a guy in a red wing sweater and a fedora this dream demon who kills people in their dreams. Freddy Krueger. Who doesn't know Freddy Krueger? That's pretty much a household name. For an icon to go on for 8 movies. 8 movies. Or 9 movies around there. I gotta recount because it's been a while since I watched those. But this one just had to make it on the list because it's another one of those classics for horror movie freaks like me. You gotta put this on the list because it's just one of those household names that nobody can ever leave out, especially if you're horror buff. The horror in this was really great. Heather Langenkamp played a pretty good final girl. Robert Englund owned this part. Freddy Krueger is the reason why Robert Englund is such a big deal in the horror community. He delivered for sure. I mean, nobody else, to my mind, I know he's getting on up there. He's on up there in age now, but I just don't see anybody else really playing this part, which is why the remake in 2010 was a little bit of a bummer. And why they never moved on with a Freddy vs. Jason 2, which is what I probably would have preferred other than the 2010 remake. But whatever. We all can't have what we want. Like I said, this is another one that showed Wes Craven's talent as a filmmaker. This was earlier on in his career. There's a very interesting backstory on how this character actually got developed, which I'll save that for another video. But this definitely deserved to be on this list. Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. Now on to our next one, number 9, which will be Terminator 2, Judgment Day, which basically continues the story of Sarah Connor and her son John Connor, along with his protector, the T-800, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who tries to prevent Judgment Day from happening and Skynet from wiping out the world. Now, out of all the Terminator films, this one seems to be the most liked. It seems to be the only one that blew up at the box office. The most liked, I couldn't agree more. But ever since then, this franchise just hadn't been able to quite stand up as straight as this one did. Again, directed by James Cameron, which is the only ones he directed, which was the first 2 of these. This one really showcased the franchise's best. It's pretty groundbreaking. Arnold Schwarzenegger, about him, this is the first franchise that I've seen that had him in it, and it's the one that pretty much put him on my radar, as I'm sure it did with a lot of people. Arnold Schwarzenegger returns as the T-800, which he's basically the good guy this time, way different from when he played in the original. He delivers massively. He definitely delivers, and Robert Patrick plays a great villain as the T-1000. This definitely deserved to be on this list, and I was kind of juggling. Well, again, this is the reason why this list was a little hard to do, but I was kind of juggling because there are other films in this franchise that I liked. Maybe a tiny bit more than this one, but Terminator 2 Judgment Day definitely deserved to be on this list for now. And last but not least, as we get into number 10, Men in Black. It's basically about this organization, this secret organization that monitors and polices alien activity on planet Earth. Starring Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. This is the first one. This is the one where I was still in my Disney phase. And this was basically the first sort of adulterated content that I started watching when I was a kid. We're talking 1997, and I was 10 years old at the time. So this is basically the one that started it all. This was before Scream, before Terminator, or any of the other movies that I'm definitely into now. Like even the old school ones, like any 90s movies out there. This is the one that started me on to the adulterated, got me pushed into the adulterated content. Because I was still in my Disney phase at the time, like Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and Peter Pan, and all them. I was a child. So this is the one where I really should be thanking. This was the first action movie I've ever seen. Again, Disney phase onto Men in Black. That's a big step. This is the first one that I've really started noticing Will Smith in. I know this was right after his Fresh Prince days. And not to mention Tommy Lee Jones. I'm not going to discredit him by any means. He was awesome in this too. Even though he's not in much stuff as Will Smith was that I've seen, Tommy Lee Jones still delivered just as much as Will Smith. The action in this was really great. It's the one that really got me interested in the alien genre, like Independence Day and Aliens. Men in Black pretty much changed my life for the better. This just opened up a whole new world for me, which is why this is definitely making it on the list. Kind of like saving the best for last, but even though I confirmed this is not a best to worst video still definitely deserve to be on this list. Well, that's it for this list, guys. If you like this video, I ask you to please like, subscribe, comment, and share this video, and click that bell icon so you don't miss a thing. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this. I really do appreciate it. What is your favorite movies from this list? Or do you have your own list of movies that you like? If so, please comment down below. I plan on doing more of these in the distant future, especially in its own genres, like best of horror, best of action, worst to best, most anticipated. So stick around for those. Again, thank you so much, guys, for watching this. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.